There are some businesses that Ghana's not quite ready for yet. Anyway, his business just took off, and every single day he's jam-packed for. Ghana does not move in the same way the West does, because one of the issues that we have with staff is that they're coming to work for you and not with you. Madam, but it comes with onions. Yeah, but I don't want the onions. But that's how we make it. Sometimes Ghana can hit you with stuff that you never ever thought would come your way. The customer that you have in Ghana is not the same customer that you have in the West. But you know what's going to happen? After some time, are you catering to those people too that have bottles? They come and they would sell it to you. Your people will sell it to you. Yes, that's a great idea. Open up this organic store. You open the doors. It's amazing. First week, second week, third week, 1 month. No. Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, today's video, I want us to talk about why some diaspora businesses are failing in Ghana, or why they fail so quickly. Now, there are a number of factors that contribute to this, and I'm going to go through some of them today with you, okay? So let me know what you think as the video goes on. All right, so a lot of people, when they return to Ghana, it's a good idea to start some type of business, right? Because we need income. We can't all just live off savings for the rest of our lives. Not all of us are that wealthy yet. So, we need some type of income source. So we think about setting up businesses. So we come with money, we come with motivation, we come with the ideas, and we're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to implement. But we don't think about certain other things. We don't think about the fact that Ghana is a completely different terrain. Okay, I've said it before, like there are some businesses that will easily translate from the West to Ghana, and it's great to look at that. But aside from the business being able to translate, you need to think about the way that Ghana operates, right? Ghana doesn't operate like the West. Some things just don't run as smoothly. And so if you don't put those factors into play within your plan, you're going to run into problems along the way somehow, because it's just not going to go how you planned. And if you're not careful, you end up running out of money. And before you realize, your business is going to be closed quicker than you can say boo. That's potentially what could happen. And that's what does happen to a lot of people. So we come with all the motivation and we think, okay, Ghana's going to fall in love with the idea. It's a great idea, and it genuinely is a great idea that you have. But Ghana has to be ready to receive it. I've said it in videos before where there are some businesses that Ghana's not quite ready for yet. So sometimes your business idea is great, but Ghana's not ready. We haven't quite got there yet. So you're maybe just a little bit too early. But that same business, if you were to do it in a few years' time, it would completely boom. It just would. Now, I also want to say this, because one thing I've noticed when I was in Ghana is that some people come with, I don't want to say hardly any business plan, because that's not fair, but they just come on a whim and they think, oh, I'll just try my hand at this. And sometimes those are the best businesses. They're like so simple that they work. I'm going to call out this one business, okay? Because I think his business is fantastic, right? There's a store, and it's called Daddy Boba. And I love his concept so much. Now, when I met him, if you're watching this, shout out to you, George. He was just like, he hadn't quite opened yet. He was like, yeah, I just want to open up this boba tea business and, see how it goes. He was kind of very relaxed about it, or that's what it appeared on the outside. And then he opened this business, and literally the whole of East Legon would be from here to here. The road was packed because people were just coming for boba tea. Now, boba tea wasn't even something that was new to Ghana. Like, you could find it around, but for some reason, his establishment, I don't know whether it was the exact location that he had or his timing or what it was. I can never put my finger on it, but his business just blew up. And he's always selling out so fast. And the reason that I'm highlighting his business is because he came in, he was so relaxed. He kind of gave the appearance that, I'm just going to try my hand at this. This is like, it didn't seem like this was his lifeline, right? So he seemed very relaxed about how things are gonna go, and he just sort of just opened and let's see what happens. It felt like because he was so relaxed, things just worked in his favor. I feel like maybe if he was tenser about things, or he was nervous, or this was going to be his only income source, that maybe it may not have gone that way. I don't know what it was. I would love to know what that formula is. But anyway, his business just took off, and every single day he's jam-packed from morning to wherever. You can't even walk down the street cute because it's just packed with a Q. Like, the business is amazing. Something as simple as boba tea. Like, come on, like, really. It's such a simple business, but it just works. And I'm so happy for him. It's great. It's wonderful. But anyway, that's just a business that I'm just giving you a little something about, because I just felt like it was fantastic the way he came, set it up, worked out for him, and it's great. His only issue is that, you know, keeping up with the demands. That's his only issue. What a great problem to have, right? But anyway, now, why is it that some other businesses come and they can't quite get there? Why are they not working out? Like I said before, right? Some of it is to do with not understanding how Ghana works, right? Ghana does not move in the same way the West does. So if you are coming and you're thinking, well, you know, I'm going to set up this business and I'm giving myself 6 months for this business to, let's say, start to break even. That may not happen, because there's going to be so many things that you're going to experience along the way that perhaps you wouldn't have to contend with in the West. One thing I can tell you for sure is going to be staff. Staff is always a major issue when it comes to businesses. You're going to have a very high turnover of staff at the beginning, right? Because one of the issues that we have with staff is that they're coming to work for you and not with you, right? Very much so in the West, when you employ people, you know, sometimes they'll come and they'll be like, oh, I have an idea how you can improve this, how you can do this. You know, they kind of have some type of vested interest. Not always, but sometimes they have some type of vested interest within the business. And so, you know, they want to work efficiently. You know, they know what they're coming to do. They know that perhaps there's chance of, you know, being employed up, or, you know, getting a better position within the company, or whatever it is, right? Ghana doesn't quite have that mentality when it comes to staff. They're just there. They just want to come, get their salary and go home. And there's no real further thought. So to find those people that actually want to grow in the business and help your business grow, it can be very hard. And again, we have the issue, I'm going to use the word that nobody likes to say, but critical thinking, okay? Critical thinking is a thing. It does hold us back in Ghana, where people don't want to think outside the box. You know, like, okay, say you got a burger joint, okay, and then you as a customer come and say, okay, can I have a burger, but I don't want onions in it. Madam, but it comes with onions. Yeah, but I don't want the onions. But that's how we make it. So you can't take the onions out. No, please. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, just bring the burger, I'll take the onions out myself. It's like that. I know that sounds really petty, but it actually does happen. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. Like, things like that, like, there's no critical thinking involved. Sometimes, don't come for me about this critical thinking thing, yeah, because I'm not here to hear it. I'm telling you, I live in Ghana. I know what I'm talking about, right? So it's just little things like that that make it hard to find, like, really, really good staff. And sometimes it's not even always a pay thing, like, oh, you're not paying them enough. No, it's just some people's work attitude, because that's what they're used to. They've come from other workplaces where they've been allowed to sleep during the day. They've not had to work their full 8-hour shift, because, you know, while there's no customers in the shop, they can be on their phone scrolling, they can do whatever they want to do. And so when you give them a task, they almost kind of resent it. And so it becomes a thing, like, it's like battle of the employee, you know, and so it just slows everything down. And so you have to sift those people out as quickly as possible, because, you know, one bad apple in a business spoils everybody, right? So you don't want that to happen. So you need to cut out dead wood as quickly as possible. So those kind of things slow down your business. We also we have theft in every country, let's be honest. Everybody, when you have a business, you have to have some type of margin for when it comes to theft, right? Because people are going to steal. But here in Ghana, they can be very, very creative when it comes to stealing. And I'm not going to go into all of that. Yes, they steal in Ghana, and yes, they steal in the West too. But Ghana is a different level, because because of the way the currency is, right? It can affect your business. It can really hurt your business. Let's put it that way. When people say it can really hurt your business, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so there's that. You know, systems are slower as well. So if you're coming with a business mindset, and you think, okay, I want to come, and, you know, you've got a limited amount of money that you're coming to Ghana with, and like, okay, well, I need to get this business needs to be off the ground in a year, and you need a permit, or you need to register your business. There are instances where it may take you 7 months to register your business. Now you have, out of the money that you had that's supposed to last you a year, because you're hoping in a year you're going to be, like, profitable, right? Now you've only got how many more months? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8, 9, 10, 11. You've got like 4 months left, right, for your business to take off. And that's all you have because it took you 7 months to register. Let's be honest, some businesses, there are things that hold it back, right? People want bribes, there's corruption, there's all those things that slow your business down. And so before you know it, the money that you've come to use to invest in the business, you ended up using it to live off, to survive, because things have been a lot slower. Just things are not moving in the way that they should. And so sometimes these things can collapse your business much quicker because you can't even break even, let alone make a profit yet. So these things hold businesses back sometimes, so you have to have very real expectations. You can't come and try and set up a business and live in la la land, right? It is not the same as the West. You have to be ready for certain challenges. And I know when I do this type of video, right, people are going to be, oh yeah, I'm prepared. But honestly, sometimes Ghana can hit you with stuff that you never ever thought would come your way. You don't see it coming. So it's almost like you have to prepare for the unexpected. Like literally anything can happen. Forget about having plan A and plan B. No. You need C, D, E, F, and G as well, because so many things are going to happen, right? I know people that have come, rented out a shop, right? And then something happens and they can't put the shop there anymore. So now they've had to move. It's very, very real. And then now they have to fight trying to get the rent back because now the landlord won't give them back their rent, or there's some other issue, and like things happen, right? So you have to be prepared for things like that. I'm telling you, I know people who have literally rented out places, kitted it out, and then when it comes to opening day, there's a problem, the business cannot be open, and then they have to go and try and find another premises somewhere else. Now they have to look for another rent for a year or 2 years, however it is. And some places ask for 5 years up front, believe it or not, when it comes to shop hire, right? So now you have to go fight for that money, or you have to, I know somebody approached me one time, they had rented out a space and something happened and the landlord wouldn't give them their money back. So they had to try and sublet that place so that they could go and get the money and rent somewhere else instead. Like the process of having to go through that, you can imagine how much time you're losing because you need the rental income from the first place that you rented. Like just a whole mess. So you need to be able to account for some of these things. So sometimes the $30,000 that you think that you're coming with, you may end up only having half to do the business because of certain other things that happen, right? And I'm not saying that that's fact, but I'm saying these are just some of the things that you need to account for. So you need to have a really good buffer when it comes to some of these things if you're going to open a business. Another thing that can also be difficult when we have people moving to Ghana trying to open up businesses, the lack of knowledge, right? You have to understand your customer. You have to understand their behavior. You have to understand what makes them buy, right? And I know that sounds pretty basic, but I keep saying it, Ghana is very different. The customer that you have in Ghana is not the same customer that you have in the West. And so you have to understand how they buy and their spending habits, how they do it. So you have to make sure you analyze things first. You can't just come and open a business. You have to see how people spend. Sometimes say, for example, you have a restaurant, right? There could be a big difference between somebody is willing to spend 100 cities and somebody who's willing to spend 110 cities. Although it's only 10 cities, some people are like, well, 100 is my limit on spending on food. And therefore, if you price your food at 110, you're going to not get a customer. Just like little things that you have to observe about how people buy, how people consume here. So you need to make sure that you spend enough time studying your target market, right? And you have to be willing to pivot. That is one of the major things about Ghana, right? I know this Jamaican restaurant, right? When they opened up, it was just pure Jamaican food, which was fantastic, and you think, okay, yeah, Jamaican food, come, everybody love it. Everybody will tell you that, yes, if you open a Jamaican restaurant, everybody's going to want it because, not everybody wants to eat Ghanaian food all the time, or fish and chips, they don't always want to eat that. But you know what's going to happen? After some time, people, if you really want to have a sustainable business when it comes to food, you're going to have to incorporate some of those local dishes into your menu, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen because for your business to be sustainable, you have to cater to everybody, right? You can't just say, I'm only going to do Jamaican food. So many Jamaican spots, right, will end up having to add jollof rice, fried rice, because jollof rice and fried rice are two of the staples in Ghana. If you have a restaurant, you must have those two things on your menu because the local person that walks in off the street that can afford your food wants jollof rice. Yes, they will try your rice and peas, but for the most part, they want jollof rice, they want fried rice. So those things have to be on your menu in order for it to be sustainable. So if you're not willing to pivot and say, okay, I'm going to add some of these things, your business could struggle. And so you have to have some basics. So it's about really, again, it's about studying the market and studying your people, studying your consumer. What is it that they want? Clothes even, right? A lot of women, if you're going to open a clothes shop, it's harder to say, okay, I'm just going to open clothes shop and it's going to be size 8, size 10, size 4, or whatever, right? You have to think, your average person in Ghana is curvy. Are you catering to those people too that have bottles? You can't have selling jeans and the jeans don't go up. People who have hips and bottles, their jeans cannot rise above because you bought size 8 and it doesn't have excess space for the buttocks to fit inside. So now the jeans that is supposed to be normal is now like low rise. You have to think about that because your customer is different. It's not the same customer in the West, which is why some of us, we have to still shop in the West because we don't have those hips. So with the clothes that we see in Ghana can't fit us. So, you have to cater to everybody. So you need to think about some of these things. A lot of online shops, when they sell clothes, you go in there, they're all pretty much size large. And so when you go there, all you see is large size and you have to tailor it to your own self because it's not going to fit you if you're a smaller size. For the most part, a lot of the shops are like that. And that's just the truth. I've seen it myself so many times. I can't shop in Ghana because they don't cater to people of my stature. You might come and you might think, okay, I have this brilliant idea of this fancy cafe, right? I've seen it in the States, this Instagrammable wall that they have. And then we're going to give them free Wi-Fi. And then we're going to do all these fancy things, and people are going to love it because, it's really gimmicky and it's going to be so great. People are going to want to share it on Instagram and all of that good stuff, right? It's great for social media. But the problem is that's nice for the first time, second time, third time, maybe someone comes. After that, no one cares about that. They just want to know how affordable are the things that you have in there, how's your internet working? What can I buy to sit here so I can sit here for a few hours that's going to be affordable to me? That's what the customer's thinking. So a lot of times, right, when it comes to the restaurant business, people open up businesses and Ghana has this thing where when a new thing, shiny object is there, people flock to it. After some time, they move on to what's next because you don't have anything that's long-term, right? Everybody's seen it on social media now. Nobody cares anymore, right? So you got to have something that makes people always want to keep coming back in order to have that turnover and have that flow of customers. So that's something that you got to always be thinking about. Also sometimes we come with these fancy ideas like, okay, I'm going to open up a store that's strictly organic. We're not going to sell anything outside of the produce that's organic. And that sounds fantastic. And, a lot of people will say to you, yes, that's a great idea. Come and do it. They will sell it to you. People will sell it to you. Yes, that's a great idea. That's fantastic. That's exactly what Ghana needs. But Ghana doesn't necessarily want that. Individuals will say that's a great idea, but really, how many times are these people going to patronize that? Because when it comes to people actually putting their hands in their pocket and saying, yes, I'm going to support you every single time, people are very few and far between. Okay, so you open up this organic store, you open the doors, it's amazing. First week, second week, third week, 1 month, no customers, because first of all, your food is spoiling very quickly, right? Second of all, your prices are a little bit higher because it's organic, so you've had to pay some extra things in order to get the food, so it's fresh and quick to the store, right? So now you're having problems with turning over the food quickly. Things are spoiling too quickly, and your target market, your target audience is too small, and therefore now your shop is not sustainable because you're not turning over enough of a profit. You're barely breaking even, and these are some of the problems. So although we can have great ideas and we think, okay, this is great. This is exactly what Ghana needs. I know this is how I'm going to prove in Ghana. I'm coming to save Ghana. Ghana needs me. Me, I'm Superman. I'm coming to save the whole of Ghana. It doesn't quite work like that. You need to meet Ghana where it is. So again, like I say, some of these ideas are great. Ghana's not always ready for them, or your target market is not always ready for them. And now we see some vegan places popping up. But I'm going to be honest with you, they are few and far between because Ghanaians, we want meat. Where is our meat? That's what they want. So you will get some customers, and I'm not saying it's not a sustainable business. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying expect that business is going to be slower for you than the store next door that has meat, just because that's what people want. So even though you may have a vegan store that has things that are like meat, because it's not meat, and Ghanaians want meat. We know Ghanaians, we like meat, right? Your store is going to have a slower start. It's going to be a bit harder because you're not catering to the masses. You're catering to a smaller, select few people. And so these are things that you need to think about. So again, think about who your consumer is. Think about if that market is big enough, you know. Again, we've seen it. I did a video that I did with Jerk Soul, right? He had a mishap. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. I know he's opened his new business now. Shout out to you, Judah. Amazing. I can't remember what it's called. Chicken. I can't remember. Don't. I can't remember. Judah, if you're there, let me know the name of your new business. I'm not in Ghana right now, so I haven't checked it out yet. But when I spoke to Judah, he had a Jerk Soul, right? Amazing brand. People in the diaspora loved it. People used to go there. It was a great place to meet other diasporans. It was wonderful, right? But his business got closed down because of a small clause in his contract that meant that even though his business was doing well, the owners of the establishment wanted him to leave the premises because they wanted to rent it out for a higher price, even though he was still within his contract. And so if you want to know the details of that, you can go look for the video and watch it. But things like that, understanding contracts, right? That's another thing you cannot start a business and say, well, you know, you do it on a handshake, or, I mean, that's silly. If you did it on a handshake, well, you know, you can't do things like that. You have to get someone who actually understands the contract that you're signing before you sign it. You can't just sit down and say, okay, well, I've got the contract. I'm going to read through it myself. I think I pretty much understand this. You know, I'm going to plug into ChatGPT and ChatGPT is going to tell me everything. No. You have to understand the law of the land. The law of the land is going to be very different to the law of the land in the West. And so you need to understand what it is before you go and get into certain things. These are some of the things that those of us from the diaspora are missing, because sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes as people from the diaspora, we think we know everything. We think our brains are so big that as for us, we know everything. It cannot possibly go wrong because I know my rights. No. The rights that you have in the West are not the rights that you have in Ghana. So make sure you understand Ghana law before you come here and start whatever it is you need to start. Understand Ghana law. Understand what the legal process is. And understand that even if you go through that legal process, how long that legal process is going to go on for you. Do you even want to go there? Think about the things that could potentially go wrong, so you factor those in as well, so you're ready. You have to think about those things, even though we don't want to sit here and be negative and say, okay, well, let's not think negatively about our business because we don't want to invite those negative thoughts into it. Yeah, we don't want to, but we have to be reality. You have to live in reality too. You have to understand that, you know what, there's certain issues. If it goes to court, are you prepared? How long can you sustain yourself in court? Because a lot of the time when it comes to things and court, right, the way it works is whoever can survive the longest. Finance, your pocket, how far can your pocket go? Sometimes it comes down to that. How far can your pocket go? That's what's going to cause you to win, not necessarily the truth. I said it. Sometimes also another factor that puts us down is, you know, when it comes to the management of the business, right? If you as a business owner are not there yourself and you're relying on, I've hired a manager, I've got staff that I know I can rely on, family members I know I can rely on, I'm telling you, my friend, watch very carefully to that business, because even people that you think, I grew up with them, I've known this person since I was 5 years old, and now we are 55, I know I can trust them. Listen, my friend, this is Ghana. Take off those rose-colored glasses, because when money is involved, it is a different ball game that you're playing. It's not the same ball game that you're playing when you are just friends and you think that you know the person, right? Be careful with friends, family, all of that. I've said it before. I'm not going to go into it too much, but just be careful. Be careful of that. Make sure you're there. Make sure your business is tight. Make sure you implement certain things. Come on, let's have cameras around. Basic things, have cameras. Make sure that how the business is receiving money. You know, you may not want to have a business that accepts cash. I know that's inconvenient. Sometimes you know, that might not be the best because someone's going to pocket some of it. You know, there's all these different things. So you have to make sure you put those things, but you need someone who can manage the business properly for you if you cannot be there yourself. And it's got to be almost a copycat of you, a double of you in order for that. If you're not the one there, make sure whoever is managing that business for you is you. That's it. The person that can manage the business is you. You know, you need to think about taxes as well, right? Understand the tax system in Ghana, right? Make sure you get an accountant, a Ghanaian accountant that can explain certain things when it comes to starting your business, when the business is running. All those things, right? Make sure you understand that so that you don't run into issues later. It's better to deal with things at the beginning than deal with the problem once it arises, okay? So just put certain things into place. Talk to other business owners as well. That is going to help you tremendously. People who have already been there, done that, are doing it. Speak to them. They're going to give you insight that nobody else can. Like I'm sitting here, I'm giving you advice, right? I can tell you some things. I can't tell you everything. If you're opening a restaurant, speak to somebody that you know that's also opened a restaurant. If you're opening a salon, speak to somebody else that's opened a salon. Like find out what some of the challenges are so that you can have you can have a leg up before some of these things happen. Make sure you equip yourself with knowledge so that you can mitigate your risk as much as possible. Another problem that we have when we come and we start up some of these businesses, we get an emotional attachment to it. And that is so easy to do. You know, we have a business idea that we absolutely love and we have fallen in love with it so much to the point where we can't see that this is a failing business. Now, there's a very fine line between knowing that your business is failing and knowing when you need to push through, okay? So you need to make a clear distinction between the two things. Now, when it comes to being emotionally involved in your business, it means that like you're not willing to pivot. You're not willing to accept that, you know, you have to do other things. I guess that's still pivoting, right? You're just not willing to do it. You have an idea and you just want to stick to it. And by all means, that's all you're going to do. You're not going to listen to any outside advice. All you want to do is stick to this thing because you believe in your heart of hearts that that thing is going to work. My friend, you can't afford to have that in Ghana. It doesn't work. You cannot have emotional attachment to a business. Sometimes, my friends, you have to be prepared to get up and pivot. You have to be prepared to close this one business down and start something else, regardless of what anybody else thinks about what your choices are or why you're doing what you're doing. You have to do that if you want to financially survive. And so you can't be influenced by outside pressures. You have to do what is right for the business, and you cannot become emotionally attached, because whether you're emotionally attached or not, business is business and Ghana is Ghana, and what is going to happen is going to happen whether you're emotionally attached or not. Business doesn't care about emotional attachment, okay? It cares about money and what it can get from you. So be very careful of not falling into that trap. So let's talk about solutions. What are some of the things that we can quickly do to make sure we don't fall into some of these traps, right? First of all, start small. Some people come and start business, start huge. Your business is too big. First of all, you haven't even had proof of concept. You may have seen that, oh, this business will work for someone else, but you haven't seen it work for yourself. You don't know what kind of measures this other person has put into place for their business to survive. So start small. Don't invest all your capital. You only have 30,000 in your bank. You've come and invested 30,000. Now you have nothing else to do anything. You have no buffer. You have no backup plan. You have nothing. Literally, if this fails, you are doomed. You're dead. It's finished for you, right? You don't want to do that. Invest, start small. And as you see things are working, then you can grow your business out. There's nothing wrong with growing a business, starting small. Sometimes, you know, our eyes are too big where we're trying to cater to make other people feel like, you know, yes, we have done this, we have done that. No, don't fall into that trap. Start small, see what works for you, and grow your business so that you don't fall into certain traps that are unnecessary. Another way to do it is partnerships. Partnerships are great in Ghana if you find the right people, because then you don't have to take on all the risk yourself, right? Start a business, everybody's 5,000, or 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. Now you've mitigated your risk, right? Now you can maybe even have a better business, right? Because you're having not just other people's finance, but you're having other people's ideas. Now it's not only left for you to manage, right? If you have something else that perhaps you're doing and you can't necessarily leave in the the West full time, right? You have other people, you could take it in turns to manage, right? You have so much more opportunity if you are doing it as a collective rather than one person do it as by themselves, right? So partnerships are a great way to also mitigate some of the risk that when it comes to business. Again, I've said it before, understand your customer, understand what they want, how they work, understand price points, right? Understand all of that, and most of all, be patient. You might have a timeline, Ghana has its own timeline, so be willing to work with some of that, right? Be willing to bend a little bit so that you can get to where you need to get to. Make of what I said as you will. You know, you're gonna have to. But anyway, let me know what you think about what I've said. Have you had a business? You've tried to start a business. Have you had to pivot? Have you had a business that's failed? You've had to come back stronger. You've had to do it in a different way. I'd love to hear all of it. Let's share our ideas. Let me know in the comment section. And that leads me on to the Diaspora Business Hub. If you have a business in Ghana and you want to have a little bit of exposure, do head over, look at the link in my description box, sign up your business there. It's free to list your business there. I'm waiting for that to kind of grow a bit before I kind of do some things with it. So let's see how that goes. Also, I've opened myself up to one-to-one consultation. So if you're thinking about moving to Ghana and you want to know a bit more, you want to tailor some stuff to yourself, send me an email to dela@multidela.com and I will help you from there. That is the end of today's video. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment and share this video. Until next time, I am out.